Do you know that you are going to have a specific conversation at the beginning of this week that is going to become a little bit heated up? So you can expect a little conversation, my gorgeous Leonie, at the beginning of this week that is going to become a little bit heated up. And when that happens, you know, this is actually really going to throw you out of balance a little bit because it's going to surprise you. This is going to surprise you. So when we get surprised by something, we react in a different way. We don't have a time to think, we don't have a time to prepare, we don't have a time to come up with a plan, but we respond in like pretty much so in a very unique way. It's like our own reflex, really. So we don't have a time to think and we don't have a time to overthink, which is actually sometimes really good, because when we overthink, then we also start losing ourselves a little bit, you know. So you can expect the conversation where you are gonna, like, this is gonna surprise you, this heated conversation about something, and this in itself is going to require to respond immediately. Okay, I'm not saying to fight, I'm not saying to argue, but I'm just saying to say exactly what is on your mind. You need to be clear, you need to be direct, and this in itself is going to be your sign that you're going to need to put your foot down. So you're going to need to be clear and you're going to need to be direct. And when you become aware of that sign, and the sign is going to be like some kind of heated conversation or like some kind of heated argument, so this is in itself going to be your sign that you need to be clear and you need to be as direct as possible. So I'm not saying to argue, to scream or whatever, but just to put your point across. This is very important for you to understand, because at the same time, number one, you're going to protect yourself from dishonesty by doing this. Okay, you will see this is all going to become absolutely obvious to you. What do I mean by this? So number one, you will be able to protect yourself from dishonesty, and number two, you're also going to be able to protect your own creativity. Okay, so just remember this. Number one, you will protect yourself from dishonesty, and number two, you're also going to be able to protect your creativity as well. And this in itself, it's like a really kind of like more important than anything at this stage of your life, at this stage of your spiritual journey, because this is all going to lead very strongly towards your like a life purpose, towards your spiritual purpose, towards your soul purpose. So the only way to get through your soul purpose is by following your passion and by also being completely honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, then things are not going to work in your favor. You're not going to see things clearly, if you know what I mean. And also, my gorgeous Leonie, what else is going to happen at the beginning of this week, you know? You are really going to, and this is going to be quite good, you know, you are going to hear something on the outside. You're going to become aware of something quite weird again and something quite unusual. And this is, on another hand, once again, not going to surprise you whatsoever. So something very unusual you're going to hear that's happening on the outside. And this in itself, it's actually going to be really good, because it's more about how you're going to perceive and how you're going to understand this message. This is not going to scare you. It is not going to make you feel horrible, or it is not going to make you feel negative in any way, but it's at least going to show you clearly what you should kind of be doing at this moment in time, working on yourself completely, put yourself as a number one. And this is also going to show you completely what you should be avoiding at this part, at this stage of your life. So this is going to be like a blessing, really, you finding out an additional kind of hidden danger again on the outside, and this is like a blessing more than anything else, because it's just clearly going to show you what to avoid and what to kind of pay attention to, what makes sense, you know, you kind of pay attention to, and what doesn't make sense, you do not waste your energy whatsoever, because it's absolutely pointless. By the time you get to the mid part of this week, my gorgeous Leonie, you know that you are going to be thinking something that you are going to be living little bit worried about your finances, and maybe a little bit worried about your financial situation, and you're worrying for absolutely no reason, because something is really getting unfolded, at that moment in time. And this is another sign for you. When you become worried about your finances and financial situation at around the midweek, at the same time, this is another sign, another brilliant sign that now you're entering very interesting mode, very interesting stage, and it's going to start with worrying about your finances, and you're not going to be able to understand where this is coming from. Your finances could be absolutely brilliant, and your finances may not be that brilliant at this stage of your life, but it's just really going to feel like this, so it gets kind of your attention. And that in itself is really going to be a sign that you're entering very interesting mode. Of course, that this is going to lead towards a little bit of a hermit mode, where you are going to feel a little bit withdrawn, and you're going to be thinking about so many things. You're going to be thinking about your life. You're going to go really, really deep, and then it's all about kind of trying to find big life questions and things like that. You'll just go so deep, and sometimes that's just needed so much, because the deeper we go the greater understanding we have about our lives, and looking at the bigger picture and understanding things that we didn't understand before from a completely different level. So this hermit mode, it's actually going to reveal something very interesting to you. It's going to reveal to you that you a really kind of now it's time to start something. Now it's time to kind of a carry, not really to start something, but it's time to carry on with a very, very specific plan. And this specific plan is something that means to you so much, and the specific plan, it's a lot to do with a very much so a really powerful and important destination in your life. And it's not only about you carrying on with a certain plan, but it's just something that was you kind of stumble upon with something within the last couple of years. You had to slow down because of the lots of circumstances that you were dealing with, and the lots of things that were happening on the outside sadly affected your situation quite a lot without you even realizing, and then you've just left that part of you in the past. So now this is going to be highlighted. So it's more about you knowing and understanding that you've got absolutely everything you need right now. Things changed, you learned quite a lot. You're going to realize how much you've actually learned about yourself within the last 12 months specifically, and now this is going to be a turning point in so many different ways, my gorgeous Leonis, because it's all about you doing what means to you the most, but also to not forgetting the work-life balance, and not forgetting about the fact that there is just so much more to life. There is so much more to investigate. There is so much more to explore. And this in itself, you realizing now suddenly that you've got everything, because you're going to realize something specific in particular that you've learned over the last 12 months, which is going to be an amazing starting and turning point, as I said. But it's all going to boil down towards you getting a different perspective on the things that were kind of making you feel really negative before. So now you're going to see this as a really great challenge, and this different perspective that you are going to gain, that you are going to get, it's also at the same time going to show you clearly that something in your life came to an end, and you need to kind of make that sacrifice, which is not even a sacrifice anymore. You need to move on from something, because if you don't move on from something that came to an end, you are really just going to prolong certain things that have been slowing you down for so long. This in itself is really starting a process of really, really nice change in your lives. By the time you get to the last part of this week, my gorgeous Leone, this is brilliant. It's oh my God, this is gonna blow you away. This is the last part of this week. It's literally gonna blow you away, because something really unexpected is going to happen. A really unexpected situation is oh my God. God. And they're going to be two things that are going to be consistent with this, like, when it comes to this unexpected situation, two things. And this is really going to surprise you. Number one is an unexpected success in your life. It's going to come through at the end of the week. This is really going to surprise you. An unexpected success. This is going to feel like a sweet and delicious victory indeed. And another thing that is going to surprise you, it's also going to be like some kind of a nasty challenge. It's actually coming to an end. And it's that challenge you did not even want to think about how much it actually affected you. And it's really to do with something very, very personal. Now, this is brilliant because at the same time, an organic, natural progression when it comes to this. What are you going to actually become aware of this unexpected success in your life? It's really going to point you towards the direction that you need to put as a priority number one right now. And that in itself, it's not only that, but the natural organic progression after that moment in time, you will see, you are going to feel very keen and very eager to find out more about something very specific. And this is to do with this unexpected success. So now you're going to like this, you're going to find this rather delicious indeed, but at the same time, something is going to be on your mind. You need to learn something more. You need to explore something more. And the more you think about it, the more excited you're going to be, the more optimistic you're going to be, the happier you're going to be about yourself. But most importantly, the more optimistic you are about yourself right now, the more optimistic you are also going to be about your future. This is the time where you are going to find the energy and vibration very powerful, because for the first time in absolute ages, you are going to have a control over an aspect in your life that drained way too much energy from you indeed. So in general, you are already going to feel different. But once you kind of realize what you need to find out a little bit more, it's like, oh my God, my gorgeous Leonie, one thing is going to lead to another thing is going to lead to another, and you are going to find yourself having a really meaningful experience just while you are doing it. But at the same time, you're also going to find yourself like almost as if you are having some kind of adventure here. This is going to remind you of how things used to be in your life, but it's also going to remind you of how different you are, how unique you are, and how powerful you are. This is where you're going to have a determination like you haven't had before, and you will realize the way your spirit is actually going to be rising. This is brilliant, and it's immediately going to reconnect you with some kind of original plan. Pay attention to these words, my gorgeous Leonie, some kind of original plan. You're returning home to yourself. When it comes to your spirit and spiritual journey, it means that you went through a great deal of karma lately, and now this is the direct result, or shall I call it a reward. Okay, my gorgeous Leonie, thank you ever so much for watching my videos. I'm sending you brightest blessings, lots of love, healing, peace and light to every single one of you. Thank you ever so much for watching my videos. Sasha Bonasin, Psychic Medium. Love you. Bye.